So here we are in January. It's pretty cold and murky. There's forecasts of the beast from the east too on the way, and we're in the middle of a lockdown. So quite a tough time, but spring is coming. Spring will be here soon. Not for a while, but there's the signs. The signs that it's coming are starting to show, and I find this really exciting actually. After the kind of shortest days, the grey, difficult times through the winter, suddenly things start to come alive again. I can see it in the lanes. Already things are starting to just get that little bit more green, starting to come back to life. Now if we have a look at the plants, you can see that this one is starting to pop up. Does anybody recognise this? This is called cleavers or goosegrass, or sticky willy is another name for it. And that makes use of the as much light as it can early in the year. The cow parsley, there's some cow parsley back here. Look, cow parsley's coming back. In May this will be spectacular. But even now it's starting to open up its leaves and get the most out of the daylight. There's lots of three-cornered leek, which is this one, and this is definitely growing quite fast. This is a non-native, perhaps a little bit of an invasive plant actually, but it definitely does kind of brighten the lanes, the edge of the lanes up, and also it's edible, and I talked about that in one of my films last year. It's got a really nice kind of garlicky flavour, so that's yeah, even though it's non-native and perhaps a little bit troublesome, it's yeah, it does have its uses. And we've got some herb robert there coming back, and this one, which I really love. I showed this one in an earlier video, showed you some fun things you can do with this one. This is called navelwort, just starting to green up. I can just see it, that it's not that far away. So this time of year there's no leaves on the trees, so a lot of these plants that we see on the ground, what they're doing is, although the days aren't long and the sunlight isn't strong, they're getting what they can before they're in shade. And one of the loveliest things to look out for in Cornwall are the bluebells. Now bluebells are normally thought of as woodland plants, but here in Cornwall we find them out on the heaths and the moors, and what's happening there is that the bracken acts as a canopy, acts like a woodland, so the bluebells actually find it a very sort of appropriate habitat to be in, because the bracken, when it comes back, keeps down the competition. So it won't be long before the bluebells are popping up again. So not much going on in the trees, but it's worth keeping an eye on these buds, because soon these will be breaking. This is sycamore, and the buds are quite chunky and green. It's quite an interesting thing to see, have a go at, see if you can identify your tree species just by the buds. They're quite distinctive, so it's worth having a look at. What is there for insects to eat? Not much at the moment. The only thing with any flower I've noticed is the gorse. There's a little bit of gorse just over here. Come and have a look. Look at that, already in flower. So maybe a little bit of nectar there. Oh, look, now, here we go. Anybody recognise this one? This is hogweed. Not one of my favourite plants, because I've got a little bit of a, I think you might call it an allergic reaction to it. The sap from hogweed can make your skin photosensitive, so I'm always a little bit cautious of it, but still, nonetheless, it's a flower, which will mean nectar, which will mean insects. So it's happening, folks. Spring is coming. Oh, here we go, a little bit of colour, little touch of colour over there. This one is in flower nearly all the time. You nearly always can find some of this. This is red campion, and yeah, I don't think I've ever been out for a walk and not been able to find it, actually, away somewhere. Oh, and look, here's another one greening up. This is sorrel. You can recognise the sorrel leaves by those pointy shaped bits at the end. I was thinking of the name, and I think it might be hastate is the name for the leaf. So there we go, folks. Still looking fairly bleak, but it won't be long. Soon all of these trees are going to be looking lovely and green. Okay, I'll speak to you again.